Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today. And just a reminder for you that if you want to participate in the Ask Dear Darling anything and submit your own questions, then please do so on either day 994 of Animal Crossing, on the community post, on my Twitter, or in my Discord. There will be, you're smart people, you can find it probably, it's literally just like my last post on my Twitter, and there's a literal channel for it on my Discord and that sort of thing. And even if you've already asked questions and you think of more questions, then feel free to submit more of them, you can, I'm not going to put like a hard limit. I don't think anyone's going to submit like 100 questions. If you do, then oh my god, you'd be as legendary as that person who submitted like 100 questions to at TCM and AMA ages ago. And you might be like, what are you talking about? Let me get onto that. So hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow at 6:10 PM on Friday, December 16, 2022. It's actually not a very exciting story in the slightest. But it's TCM Bjergsen. He was a very popular player in competitive League of Legends. He still might be. I don't even know. I don't think he's playing anymore, but I don't really remember. But certainly back in like season, I don't even know. I don't even know what season we're on right now. But a few years ago, basically, he was super popular, and he was like a sort of like up and rising star when he first joined. And then he had like a AMA on like League of Legends subreddit or something, when just some absolute random legend. Well, I'm not going to even say legend because it's some very dedicated fan. Legend isn't really a word I use, I suppose, in that context. I talk about legends as if I was like in a medieval fantasy sort of novel or something. But he posted like 150 questions or something to see some Bjergsen, all about all sorts of different like sort of facets of like life or whatever, and people were just like, whoa, this guy's a fan right here. And credit to Bjergsen, I believe he did actually answer most of them or something, or nearly all of them. I honestly don't recall. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say about that. There's basically nowhere to go conversationally. Well, okay, there's not nowhere to go conversationally from that. But I don't want to go conversationally into things like AMAs and that sort of thing, because I'm going to have my own thing on, I'm going to have my own moment on episode 1000 in the first place, so that will have to wait. For now, let's talk about something else. What should we talk about? I don't know if there's anything particularly on my mind, which I want to talk about. I don't know what sort of news is going on in the gamers internet, so blogosphere. There must have been something I wanted to talk about. I feel like it was something I wanted to talk about yesterday, but I can't remember what it was. So we're going to take a bit of time to get our conversational sort of momentum going before I think of what I was going to talk about. What was I going to talk about? I genuinely don't remember. Oh yeah, I was going to mention that I did finish writing my short story yesterday. How was it in the end? I thought it was fine. I don't think it's my best story that I've done. I don't know if my friends would agree or disagree in particular, but it's not my favorite story. But yeah, again, it's kind of shown by the fact I did it in like an hour and a half or something. No, not even an hour and a half, and an hour and a bit or something. Which, yeah, as I say, that's not the sort of person I am. I'm very much like, I try and do things prepared beforehand if I can, as early as I can, within reason. I'm not a robot, I still suffer from procrastination as well, But generally with very short stories, and I tend to complete them, I would say, about like 2 or 3 days before, and then those final days will just be sort of like checking and amending things in here. And not normally do I do big sweeping changes to it, and the only exceptions I can think of is there's one story where I rewrote a small section of it, because I was just like, I hate this section so much, so I changed it. But yeah, I'm not very sort of like last minute person on time. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I remember the most last minute I did a piece of homework was like on the day, like on the morning. Well, I mean, I guess that literally is probably no. Actually, that's not true. Technically, I did do a piece of homework, literally like the 15 minutes before the lesson, mainly because I didn't know we had that homework. it was luckily maths homework, so I did it quickly, and also I might, you didn't hear it from me. I might have copied from a friend, but it. There's many different things you can say about that. Obviously, intellectually, that's sort of like you're not getting the benefit of learning from it. I'm going to be honest, I was pretty good at that. Like, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I think I was okay educationally wise for math. So that's definitely a subject did not need to worry about as much, but definitely sort of like educationally dishonest, isn't it, in a sense? But I didn't want to get detention, so sorry Mr. B. I mean, he didn't really care. He liked me a lot from what I recall, and haven't spoken to him actually since I left secondary school. I didn't even speak to him much later because he didn't even teach me for like later years about sort of thing. And you know, I'm often in my own world, so you know, I don't randomly approach teachers to be like, "Yo, what's up?" Or maybe I should. Maybe I'm different now. Well, certainly I'm different now, I'd say. But yeah. But like, I still remember 2 pieces of homework, which I did distinctively quite late, because I'm still human, you know. I'm certainly better at doing things now, I think, than I was back then. Maybe it was university which sort of drilled that aspect into me. But I remember one was we had to make like a movie poster or something, maybe not like a movie, like some sort of advertising poster image. It was some image-based thing. It was for English lit class. English class. We didn't even have English before GCSEs. We had to make a poster. So I must have been year 8 or something, about a book, and then that would be it. And I remember doing that. Like I left for school. Like it was quite early. I must have left for school. Like I don't even remember. School must have started at like 9:15 or something, and you're meant to be there like 8:45 ish. So I'd imagine I'd probably left around like 8:15 or something. I don't know, but I remember waking up at 6 to do that. Like booting up our old family computer, which, you know, was like Windows Me or something back at the time. No, maybe that one wasn't Windows Me. I don't remember if we upgraded by that point, but it was the old computer. Bust out a good old Word document. Made a very quick sort of like slapped together movie poster about one of the Skullduggery Pleasant books. I don't remember which one. I think it was the 5th one, but I also don't remember what the 5th one's called. You would be like, wow, you read Skullduggery Pleasant? I did. I read up to book 6, I think, because one of my friends gave me book 6 for my birthday. And then I've not read any of the others. I don't know what happens. I've literally no clue, and I also don't have much recollection of what the actual story is. But that would be another good topic discussion for another day, but not today. And I remember I sat together. I remember even making it and being like, "This looks terrible." And when I brought it in, and then she didn't even collect in that homework. She literally just forgot about that poster that day. So I was like, "All right." If anything, I was kind of relieved, being like, "Ooh, I don't have to give in like this terrible piece of homework I did." But another one I can think of was it was for art, which is I'm surprised I left this one so late. Because generally art homework is actually kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie, but of course this is me speaking now with like some semblance of art experience under my belt. So you know I can actually, you know, homework tends to be more fun if you 1 enjoy the subject and 2 are good at the subject, because then you're not. It's not fun struggling over something, and I would say, when having no idea how to get out of the struggle. It's fun to struggle over something if you have an idea of how to get out of the struggle. You know. Not to say that struggling can't be fun in itself, but you know, we're talking about like 13-year-old me or something, so it's not like my horizons weren't broadened that much. But we had to. It was not a huge project, but it was a like long ongoing thing. Where basically at the end we had to make and design and make a clock based on a movement of like an art movement or something. And I remember when we first got told this project, I missed the lesson because I had like a violin lesson or something. No, it can't be a violin lesson because the violin lesson's only half a lesson. I missed it for some reason. I missed the entire lesson. I feel like it was music related, but I'm not actually sure. Maybe it was a violin lesson, and maybe I just had like a double violin lesson or something. Oh man, I just talk about violin lesson stories. I got like tons of them. That violin teacher from that school was actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So what was I gonna say? Yeah. So I actually missed that first lesson. So I basically got like all the information that I had to do secondhand. So I didn't really understand the scope. But like, the only thing I found out was like the homework was like pick an art movement and then draw a clock as if it was in that art movement or something. Or like research the art movement. I was like, okay. So I remember like I don't even know if it was like a given list or anything. I literally just went on Wikipedia and just randomly, I randomly chose an art movement. And if you want to try and make a guess at what art movement I chose, incredible if you got this right, but I chose the Stijl. And you might be like, what is the Stijl? Well, I sort of vaguely remember it. Sorry, a little bit of a pause interruption there. But what I was talking about the Stijl. Yeah, we had to research it, and I randomly picked out from like the list of like styles on Wikipedia. If you don't know what the Stijl is, actually at the time I pronounced it Stijl because I didn't know how to say it properly, and I never even looked up how you were meant to pronounce it. You know, retrospect, I definitely should have like looked up like a video about it or something movement. But the Stijl movement is quite controversial movement, I think, for for those of you who are not in. Actually, that sounds so like pompous. That's not what I mean. But like, it's I suppose, a controversial sort of movement, because it's the movement of, those just coloured squares is basically what it is. If you see it, like, it's a very sort of like common rhetoric that people will use to sort of like criticize the art industry in general. Basically just like, how can this be like considered art? It's literally just lines and then like coloured in squares, or that sort of thing, which I'm not here to debate whether that is or isn't art, because in my mind art is a very loose term in the first place. Anything can kind of be defined on art, because art is like as I always say, 50% it's on the creator and what their intentions, and 50% on the consumer, I suppose, in the first place, and the meaning that they derive from it. So things which aren't necessarily art to you could be art to someone else. So I don't think there's necessarily an objective definition of it, but it's the Stijl. And I remember I just like looked it up and just researched it, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I picked this movement. This is it was kind of interesting. I don't remember much about it apart from it was Dutch. That's why it's spelled Stijl, because that's how you say the style or something in Dutch. And I remember you had to like pick an artist and research something into that artist, and the artist I chose was Pierre Mondrian, who was a rather prominent figure in the Stijl movement. I don't know, he might have been the father of the movement, I don't honestly remember. The only thing I remember is that he, before he did the Stijl movements or pieces that he's known for, he also like made this painting of like a tree or something in a different art style completely. And I remember finding out that we had to basically make clocks and design clocks from this art style movement. So I designed mine, I remember, from that tree. I was like, I'm going to base it off a tree, but I'm going to incorporate these coloured squares and very sort of like straight edge lines and whatever and colours in it. I'm thinking about it now, talking about it now, and then recording what I created in the end is absolutely nonsensical. I'm like, why did I go that direction? It makes no sense. Or what I did. Not the trees and the sticks and colours. That's actually like quite a sensible idea, I think. But like what I created in the end was just so far. Like, it's I don't want to like criticize my 13-year-old me, but like, come on, did you even try? What were you doing? Anyway, so I remember we had to make our presentation about something, and I did like a small presentation about the Stijl movement, and I'm sure my teacher thought I was just being lazy, picking like one of the simplest stylistic design movements. I will say, there's no impressionism or cubism, right, of like elements you have to incorporate. It's literally just like squares. So very lucky, but it was, I'm here to teach you, I'm here to tell you, teacher, that it literally was just random chance. I just randomly picked an art movement from Wikipedia. I mean, I remember it was a really long project for our entire term, where we had to eventually end up with creating a clock. And I don't know why I left it so late, but like I basically, the only idea I had was like, I'm going to get a pipe, and then I'm going to go get like pipe cleaners or some like wires coming out of it to do like the like right angle shapes, and then I'd get like coloured that translucent coloured plasticky sheets or whatever to do the squares. And theoretically, that doesn't sound too bad. Like immediately, the shows, I suppose, about like double my age and growth. Like, if I'm thinking about making a clock based on the Stijl movement with a tree form, I've immediately imagined something, which I'm like, yes, that would actually look kind of cool. Because I'm going to be honest, the Stijl movement, is it impressive technically here or not? I don't know, to be honest. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it's one of them, it feels like a very sort of like modern design deco sort of movement, right? Like, it's probably one of the most like least clashing sort of elements you could like put up in your wall. Like it's something I would happily hang up like in my house or something, because it just looks like a design element. It looks completely fine, and it's a style which probably works with a lot of different things, I think. So that's a cool thing about the Stijl, I think. So I ain't gonna hate on the Stijl. Anyway, I remember making a clock. It was absolutely terrible. It was a hollowed out tissue box at the bottom, which for some reason I was going to fill with water, was my initial plan. I don't know why. But that was my initial plan. And then the tissue box or something was like painted, or it had like electrical tape on it to like make colours, which again I didn't do in a very Stijl way, so I don't know why I did that. And then in the very centre I was going to stick some sort of rod. But, I didn't have a metal rod. I didn't have, like, a wooden rod or anything, because I asked my father quite late, being like, do we have anything like this? And he was like, well, the only thing we got is, like, this old metal pipe. You want to use this? And I was like, yeah. So I painted it white, stuck it in the middle. Again, not very Stijl-like. And then I got a box of paper clips and basically taped paper clips together and bent them to make right angle shapes to make the numbers and all that sort of thing. And then I got like a felt tip to colour in over the masking tape to make the colours. Thinking back to it, it must have looked terrible. It's very much not the overachieving sort of project I would do now. Or even if I would do like a couple of years down the line or something. Like the fact that I did that sort of blows my mind, because it's like like I'm almost ashamed of it. I'm obviously not ashamed. Like no one cares in the end. But I'm almost like ashamed of it. Like being like, wow, is this really? Is this the best I could do? And the answer is definitely no. But I don't even know why I put so little effort into that art project in the first place. Anyway, I still got like A- on me in the end, so I don't know. I think that teacher was quite biased towards me. I'm not gonna lie. Generally, if you are a hardworking student who is also not a troublemaker and who also does pretty well academically, a lot of teachers are going to be biased in your favour. I'm not gonna lie. So I probably got away with a lot more than I should have. In some lessons where, and especially that homework, like I'm going to be honest, like I didn't even try it. If that's me trying, when I'm sorely disappointed. But yeah, again, the normal distribution and all that of like attainment, you're gonna have a worse piece of homework. You're gonna have a best piece of homework. I don't know why I'm talking about this. This really has sort of derailed from where I was intending this conversation to go. But anyway, it was just like, I remember, like, I couldn't make the pole stand up, obviously, because I didn't secure it down or anything. The only thing I tried to secure it down with was blue tack, and it was terrible. And I remember we had to, like, present our clocks in front of a class and, like, explain the design elements of it and whatnot. And I remember, like, I basically, like, walked up to front and basically, like, held the top of my clock as I explained the elements and I put into it. I was very good at sort of, like, doing these sort of, like, essay-like explanations, like in English literature where you're meant to, like, extrapolate meaning from things. I was pretty good at sort of just doing that. So I was just like, oh, this is exactly why I chose these sort of things. And I remember the teacher asking me, like, okay, dear, but does it stand on its own? And I was like, and then I was just hoping that this metal pole, unsecured by nothing except for blue tack, hastily shoved in the underside of it, would somehow hold up the weight of not only about 100 paper clips, but also about like the clock motor itself and all the random sort of like translucent coloured plastic sheets I've stuck onto it as well. And by some miracle, it did. It held up, and I was incredibly happy. And in my mind, like, people just went woo or something. I don't actually remember if that happened or not. Anyway, after I sat down, the person I sat next to, who was my best friend, he was just like, I was just hoping, like, crossing my fingers that it was going to stand up. And I was like, you're the one who did it, clearly, or something. I don't remember how the conversation went, but that just sort of sticks in my mind. Anyway, I forgot this was what I was talking about, because I was doing that last minute, because I was finishing off that project. I was basically assembling it again the morning of that presentation. Why did I leave it so late? It was such a big project as well. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do your homework. Do it in bits and pieces, okay? That's all I really had to say. But yeah. The Stijl. I don't know. I got an A- in the end, or maybe I got an A. Either way, I got way higher than I should have got, because that clock was terrible. I'm not gonna lie. Some other people did a really good clock. Some other really cool clocks. Like, I remember my friend did one based off CDs or something, and I can't remember what art movement he chose or something, but it was very colourful and it was very cool. Anyway, I just like to say now that if I try to make a Stijl-based clock now, or based on the shape of a tree, I'd like to think I do it a lot better. Hopefully, or at least I wouldn't leave it that late. Like, come on, like, doing it on the morning of, like, no, that's just tiring. Why would I do that to myself? Anyway, I don't even know what I'm going to title this episode. The Stijl clock. That's probably what I'm going to title it, and it's going to make no sense. But I'm going to round off this episode here. So for now, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. My Twitter and Discord are down below. I hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.